Here at Udemy, our mission is to help anyone live the life that they imagine. Now, as an instructor, your courses will change the lives of students around the world. These official Udemy education courses will help you make your course the best it can be. Now, in this course, we'll make sure that we're all speaking the same language when it comes down to audio and video quality. What is a good video? What is bad audio? How do you know what quality means? By the end of the course, you'll know exactly how your video should look and sound to ensure that you're providing the best possible experience for your students. Now, we recommend that every new instructor from video novice to video expert take this course. By the end of it, we'll have a consistent language for how we define high quality videos here at Udemy. The instructor team here is dedicated to helping you succeed. To make sure that you're getting everything you can out of this course, we encourage you to be an active student. That means taking notes using our bookmark feature, downloading the worksheets, and pushing yourself in activities. Actively engaging throughout the course will help you retain the concepts as we go. This will help guarantee that your course creation process goes smoothly. So, what are you waiting for? Come on and let's go learn some video production fundamentals.
Welcome. In this course, we'll dive into the key concepts behind good audio and video production. Our goal is to give you a baseline understanding, define terms, and talk about common problems so you can assess audio and video quality like a pro. Once you know what to look for, you can move through your production process with confidence. Whether you're more of a tech geek or a technophobe, we're glad you're here. This course is about starting on the same page, which begins by speaking the same AV language. So why is AV production such an important topic? Well, it's foundational for students. The biggest and most common student pain point is poor or inconsistent AV quality. A full 25% of student complaints reference problems with audio and video clarity. That makes sense since if they can't hear you, they can't learn. We see this problem across all courses, not just the lowest performing ones. Since audio and video are the hardest things to fix later, we recommend spending some time to get it right at the start of your course creation journey. What makes a great video experience for students? Watching great video on Udemy feels like you're having a conversation with a friend, or that you're in the room with the instructor, learning over their shoulder. Production clarity is essential to building this rapport. Your video doesn't have to be produced in a professional studio, but students do need to be able to see you clearly, hear you clearly, and move through the course without distractions. Students are paying to watch you on camera. Make it worth their time and their money. In this course, we'll show you how. Now, let's demystify some production terms and skills to help you build a top quality course.
Recognize good audio.
Okay. Hello. I'm talking.
Testing, 1, 2.
In this section, you will learn about the most common audio problems that you might run into as an instructor, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to recognize them and, most importantly, how to avoid them. There are a few different types of issues that you might experience, and they often require a different approach to fix. We went ahead and categorized these issues into 3 different buckets: bad recording environment, technical issues, and user error. I'm going to go over each one separately so you know how to identify them if they ever come up while you're creating your course. For the rest of this section, I strongly suggest that you're wearing headphones. This will really help you tell the difference between some of these issues, which may sound the same when they're coming out of your computer, but each one may require a completely different solution. Let's start with problems that can arise from your environment. The most common audio problem that I see our instructors facing is echo. This is what it sounds like when your audio has an echo. As you can tell, it really sounds like I'm really far away from the camera, and this typically happens when you're recording in a really large room. One way to avoid echo in your audio is to understand your recording environment. One solution we recommend is dampening the room you plan on recording in to help you absorb all of that sound. We put up some soundproofing acoustic panels in this room, but we've also had to use blankets, cushions, even couches around us to help avoid picking up any of the echo in our recording. Another common problem that our instructors have is that the recording has background noise. You might not be aware of it when you're recording, but suddenly you notice it when you're listening to your recording afterwards. These are things like traffic, air conditioning, phones ringing, or even people just talking in the background. These are just some of the issues you may encounter when recording audio, so I would suggest you pause and listen to your recordings frequently to ensure you're not picking up other sounds and avoid having to re-record in the end. Another big issue for our instructors are more related to technical issues. For one, you might hear an electrical static sound in your recording. This is called distortion, and most commonly is an issue caused by your equipment not being plugged in correctly or having the wrong audio settings on your recording. Honestly, this issue is mostly caused by having the gain turned up way too high, and that causes that electrical sounds that make the audio extremely distracting. You might also have background hiss, which is similar to distortion. This sounds like a raspy noise within your audio track, and it generally comes from having a poor quality microphone or just using the one that's built into your camera or computer. We want you to try the equipment you have at home before you buy anything. But one thing we want you to strongly avoid is recording directly from your camera or computer without an external microphone. Another audio issue you might also encounter is the sound only coming out of the left speaker. This happens when the setting in your audio output is set to mono instead of stereo. Lastly, there are some user-specific issues that could cause you to have bad audio. If your volume is really low, it could be because your microphone is just too far away. We suggest speaking directly into your microphone, but also take into account that you're speaking loudly and clearly. You can also run into the opposite problem if you are speaking too close to the mic. This will pick up too much information and your audio will sound muffled. We suggest about 6 to 12 inches away from your mic, 15 centimeters to 30 centimeters away. Another common problem is pops in your audio. The popping sound is especially common in words with P's and T's. If you have this issue, there will be unnatural spikes in your audio that can also be distracting for your students. Go ahead and try moving a little further away from the microphone, or honestly try drinking some water before you start. This can actually help clear up that audio, believe it or not. Another option, you can also look into buying a pop filter.
Pop filter.
Ooh, which is a great way to ensure you don't have this issue at all. Something I really want to make part of your recording process is to check your audio early and often. The reason for this is that your recording setup, your natural speaking voice, and your equipment are all unique to you. So that will require a different approach to ensure that you're recording great audio. Obviously, there are a lot of other issues you can run into, but we wanted to address the ones that might cause you the most trouble. In the next activity, you can test how much you've learned about recognizing the difference between good and bad audio to help you get started creating an amazing course. These are just some of the issues you may encounter when recording audio, so I would suggest you pause and listen to your recordings frequently to ensure you're not picking up other sounds and avoid having to re-record in the end. These are just some of the issues you may encounter when recording audio, so I would suggest you pause and listen to your recordings frequently to ensure you're not picking up other sounds to avoid having to re-record at the end. These are just some of the issues you may encounter when recording audio, so I would suggest you pause and listen to your recordings frequently to ensure you're not picking up any other sounds to avoid having to re-record at the end.
In this section, you'll learn what it means to create a good video. In order to do that, we'll show you some examples and ask you to compare them to identify what makes a good and not so good video. We'll look at things like resolution and aspect ratio, which is a technical way of saying the space that a video takes up on your screen. We'll go over how to consider mobile use cases when selecting fonts for annotations, slides, and screencasts. And we'll also do a deep dive into lighting. Let's go!
There are two things to consider when you want to film a good video. 1. Make sure you have the right recording and export settings. 2. You want to set up your home studio correctly. Now, let's look at settings and setup in detail.
We'll start with some technical basics. Video resolution is usually expressed as width times height with the value given in pixels. There are two types of video resolution, standard definition and high definition. Your video should be in high definition, or HD, at 720p or higher. This can be set on your camera. Your videos shouldn't be blurry, they should look like real life. Next, you'll want to make sure the video fills the whole frame of the video player, meaning it has the right aspect ratio, which is determined by your export settings on your camera. On Udemy, we accept aspect ratios of 16:9 and 4:3.
Apart from the technical settings, you need to also prepare and create an ideal environment for filming. The first thing to pay attention to is lighting. Do you see the difference between this and this? The main subject of your video should be clearly visible and well lit. It's better to have too much light than too little. But make sure to avoid shadows in the background or on your face. Second, you need to be aware of your camera placement and camera movement. The subject should be in the middle of the shot or on the sides, using the rule of thirds. Don't be too far away from the camera or too close, and don't put the camera too high over your head or too far below your face. Just imagine you're having a face-to-face conversation with your students, and the camera is where your students would be. Now, once you have your placement right, make sure your camera is steady. You don't want your video to be shaky and make your students motion sick. Make sure to use a tripod or put your camera on a steady surface. Don't try to hold the camera yourself. Next, pay attention to your background. This goes for screencasts as well as headshots. You don't want anything to pull attention from what you're teaching. Clean up any clutter and make your background professional and appropriate. And when you're screencasting your computer, make sure that your desktop and tabs are clean and free of non-course related content. That means closing any tabs that you don't need, like Facebook or Twitter. And lastly, whether you are screencasting or adding bullet points to a headshot video, make sure any text in your course is legible. Remember, 30% of students watch Udemy courses on their mobile devices. Those are small screens. So make sure that the text is easy to read. Think about the size, the font, and the color.
Example number 1. What do you see that's wrong with this shot? Go ahead and take 5 seconds to write down some of the things that you see that are wrong, and we'll go ahead and discuss what those problems are. All right, obviously with this shot, the framing is off. You can see that the top of my head is cut off, the side of my shoulder. What you want for this type of shot is you want to make sure that your subject's either in the middle or using the rule of thirds on the side. Example number 2. Go ahead and take 5 seconds to really write down what do you see in this shot and what are some of the things that we can do to fix it. So in this shot, what you can see is that the camera is tilted up. So what this is doing, it is making me look like a lot taller. Although the background might be great, one of the things you want to make sure you do is have your camera level with your eyes so that it's easy for your students to interact. Example number 3. Go ahead and take 5 seconds to write down what are some of the things that you see wrong with this shot and what are the things that we can do to improve it. For this shot, obviously my face is too dark. You can't really see me. The problem that we have here is we're recording against the window. The light behind me is creating that shadow. What you want to do for a shot like this is you want to make sure you have other lights on that side so that it's picking me up and you can actually see me. Example number 4. Go ahead and take 5 seconds to write down what is wrong with the text right here. As you can see, the text on the top is white, and so it's difficult to see with the white background. The text below, this text is too small and it's difficult to read. What you really need to think about is a lot of our students watch these courses on mobile, so think about how you can make that experience great for them. Example number 5. Go ahead and take 5 seconds to write down what do you think is wrong with this shot and what are some of the things that we can do to fix it. I'm sure in this shot, you've noticed that the footage is a little bit shaky. It's very different from the rest. Right now, someone is holding the camera, and so a lot of times if you're not trained in holding cameras directly, you're gonna have like that kind of shaky seasickness type effect. So what you wanna do is make sure you have the camera on a steady surface or using a tripod. Congratulations, you now know what good audio and video sound like. But in order to recognize it in your own recordings, you should practice recognizing such flaws through multiple examples. In the next lecture, we'll put everything you've learned about audio and video quality to practice. The more examples you watch and listen, the better you'll get at recognizing good and bad videos. You'll also get a better sense of what you can do in your own videos to make them more engaging for your students. So let's get started.
So you want to become a great financial analyst like me? My name is Elliot, and I have been a financial analyst for 1 whole hour. And in fact, I just finished the introduction to the book I'm about to teach you. After this 30-minute course, you're going to have a job guaranteed.